Hello, Homeworthy. My name is Ann. Welcome to my home in Louisiana. Come on in.
Today we're taking you to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for a look inside Gallerist Ann Connelly's cozy home. It was originally built in the 1960s and is located right in the center of town. Ann and her husband were initially planning to remodel the home and put it back on the market, but they slowly fell in love with it, and with a change of heart they decided to stay and make it forever theirs. We begin the tour in Ann's living room with just one of the many fabulous artworks from her impressive collection.
This is a piece that is done by an artist in New Orleans, and it is a piece that I love for the lightness of it. And this piece will change. I'll put something else in it that's a little bit moodier, and it'll change the entire mood of the room. So it's just collecting things that mean so much to me. These right here, you think, oh, these are white paintings, but then you look again and you see that they are the phases of the moon. And this is an artist, Siri Berg, that I met in New York, and I was able to go to her Soho studio. She was in her 90s at that time. It meant so much to me to spend time with her. So this table right here comes from another friend of mine with an antique shop in Houston that I'm close to. Again, traveling in Houston, I picked up this lamp that was a garden ornament that was turned into a lamp. This is a natural display for a lot of books, most of them art books. And then this right here is bringing in a kind of a younger aesthetic to the room. I love the coloration. I love his approach. He uses bright colors. It's done on a handmade paper, and everything about it I love. I've probably had it for 20 years. This piece is a piece that my son made, and he gave it to me for Christmas, so I love it. And if you look at it, you'll see that it's inspired by Giacometti. We went to an exhibition in New York probably a couple of years ago. It could have been last year. And he was really moved by the exhibition. And he came home, went to the welding shop, and made this out of rebar. He's in the building business. This table right here is something that I picked up in a Paris flea market. And a lot of times, I'll just put a new book in it. This one is the Tim Flack Birds book because I have an obsession with birds, and I just open it up a lot. I open it up and it engages me. I mean, I love the falcon. We moved to the toucans, and then here are birds that are from Murano. I always love the way that the artist figures out how to make the feet and how to make it balance. I'll show you another example of that when we go downstairs. Then we're going to move into the living room. I have to talk about my girlfriend, Rebecca Vizard, because we have so much fun together traveling, and she made these pillows for me. I don't know if you can see, but there's a color shift. This side is a darker coral, and this has a little bit more orange in it. This pillow right here has more of a brown rust color, and then it's more raspberry. But we use this a lot in the gallery to help create a mood again, where we'll shift. You'll see that it looks a little bit different. It's a little bit brighter when we put the pillow on this side. And you'll see downstairs in the den that I have a lot of this that she made for me, but she makes all kinds, huge assortments of pillows, the Pillow Queen. And then here are other pillows that I've probably had for 30 years. When my son was 3 years old, he took all of the gold galleon off of it. He just came in and picked away, the same son that built the sculpture for me, until it was all gone. It really bothers her when she walks into this house and says, we really need to fix those pillows. But we haven't gotten to it yet. I love a salon wall, again, for the emotional concept that every single piece means something to me. But I changed it with a girlfriend of mine, an artist friend of mine came in and said, let's add contemporary pieces to your European salon wall. The space expanded a little bit. We put a new entrance on the house, and we needed to fill up more space with salon. And we also wanted to be mindful of scale. So salon walls can correct scale problems in houses when you're trying to figure out your artwork. This piece right here is a friend of ours, and we represent her at the gallery. She's working with collage. You can see some kind of architectural influences. Her husband is a musician, and some of it is done with old computer ticking. Some of it is done with architectural building as the concept. And I just love the collage component of her work. This is another special artist that's in the Baton Rouge area. It's in a style of Gauguin. I love the way that he treats the subject of women. It's very tender and sweet, mixed media. This is probably done on cardboard, but this artist, dapper fellow, Emerson Bell, would walk into the gallery when he was alive, and we'd have these lively conversations. And he was the type of artist that was really inventive when it came to creating the process for his art. And I was looking at a wood block that he created, and I said, Emerson, how did you get the wood block? What was the process? And he said, well, I took my Buick and I ran over that block print, and I made multiple prints that way. And to me, it just warmed my heart, because this is a pure artist, and he's going to work with whatever material, and look at the beauty and the tenderness that comes out of this piece. Then you'll see the other pieces here that are really nice pieces that I've collected for years and years. This is from Genoa, and it's an 18th century Italian drawing, tiny, but we put a huge mat around it, and then we used a sgraffito frame, which is where they're going back in with pattern to make the frame. So the pieces here are all collected on different trips, but the frames are also a hunt. The frames are also collected. I always prefer to use an old frame. Here's another great example of something that is from the 1500s, and you can see that it has a grid so that the artist could figure out where to place the figure within the grid. Maybe it was used for another composition. And you can also see something called pentimento, where the artist is changing his mind about the direction of the hand. I love this piece. I love all of the pieces, all different genres. But then we decided to mix it with a sculptural piece that we saw. My whole family was at an art fair, and we just fell in love with the sculptural quality of this artist's work. And I think that it adds a little bit of dimension and a little bit of unexpected dimension to the wall. And then here again is a perfect example of taking a frame that's really old. This is an old Dutch ripple frame, and then putting it in and using it to enhance a piece that was done in 1969. We see that it's a Picasso-influenced piece, a French artist that I got at a market, and this is one of my favorites. And then layering it again with something contemporary, a contemporary artist out of New Orleans in his 90s. Very much love this piece. And then you can see a mixed genre. So do I have a specific genre? No, but it's all fun, and I love it all. Talking about the neutrals and the way that I've layered the neutral colors in here, it really is an organic process. This was the color of the concrete wash that we chose to keep. I love it. It's just a real kind of dull grayish color. And then with the surface that is a little bit shinier, and this is more of a buff grayish, that's something that I selected because I wanted it to be a little bit different, just nuanced. And then we move into the furniture. These chairs, they're probably 30 years old, and the linen that's on them, if you look really closely, have little stains on them, but they're really well worn and loved. And the pattern of this is just a natural linen that has a little bit different body from the velvet. So this velvet is a cotton velvet, and I love it. It's oyster colored, so it has a little bit more of a gray to it, a grayish green color, and I think it looks really nice with the pillows. The drapes, When we look at the drapes, this is very nubby linen with a velvet trim. And again, this has more of a yellow tone to it. So it's, if you look at the colors together, they're very nuanced. When we move and we look at the tabernacle is just every shade of dirtiness that you can imagine. And it's something that I brought back from a trip. It was probably it was a flea market in France. And again, this has traveled with me and had a different place in each home that we've occupied. So something near and dear to me. The color of the overall room is, I think it's ballet white. And the reason why I love this color, all of my Queens of White designers that helped me learn throughout the years have taught me that this is a color that shifts beautifully with the light that comes in through the house. I love the way that it looks a little bit creamier at the end of the day, and it looks a little bit more gray when the sun is coming up from this exposure through the front doors in the morning. Okay, so we're making a transition in the open floor plan right into the dining room kitchen area, and you'll see that this is light filled from a different exposure. I love to look at all of the objects and the combination of the artwork. This is really kind of the pulse of the house as well. But I'd love to talk about this piece of sculpture. It's actually paper mache. And this artist is a dear friend of mine who works in multimedia, and she's hard to keep up with because one year she's doing things in ceramics and building with sticks and stones, and then she'll shift over to another media, and this is what she's working on now that we love so much. She's working out these sculptural forms. I'll show you an earlier example where they were smaller, and then she's pushed herself to be larger and larger, but you can see that this is, her influence is classicism, but then there's a whimsy about her personality that comes through in the object. I do love sculpture. We're doing more and more sculpture, and you'll see when we move into the next area. So there's more sculpture here. An artist that we recently purchased is Rajan Lee, and you'll see that these are forms that are more cubistic in their origin, but she also does lovely nature-based sculptures as well. And I love the way that this is juxtaposed with the same artist that did this beautiful classic urn, my dear friend Winifred Riley, who probably 10 or 15 years ago was working with screen print. And hers is, again, nature-based. And I love the way that these two balance one another. I always have something green here right out of the yard. This is a split-leaf philodendron. A lot of people in the South just cut them. They last a long time. And I want to talk a little bit about this light that my friend Winifred made for me probably 20 years ago. But it's changed. It's morphed and changed, and she's changed. We've added blown glass pieces from another artist that we work with out of New Orleans, and this was a Christmas present for her to come back and for her to create more objects and to implement a little bit of color on this light. So it's, again, derived from a classical chandelier, but I love the quirkiness and the lightheartedness of it. I think that it blends really well with her personality as an artist. This dining table is something that we had made because we can squeeze 10 people around the table, and lots of times we have lots of people here. So it's a great way to either reduce to just me and my husband, or if we have our kids and now we have our grandchild. So this table, I think that it's more than 60 inches in diameter, and it's a gathering place. I love it. It's something that we had made. So our woodworker made it, and I always have a tablecloth on it. I just love the layering of fabrics as well. Welcome to the kitchen, which, as you can see, is another variation of white. But open plan. It's not a huge kitchen, but it functions really well. My husband and I always make one of these carts, kitchen islands on wheels, and we're able to wheel them around and use it as a bar or put it in a different place. That works really well in a smaller kitchen. And then you see that the functionality of it is nice. We ended up expanding with a coffee bar here so that we have everything that we need right here in sight. I love this kitchen in its present state. I think that my husband did a really nice job just paring this house down to simple and functional. Everything was torn down. As you see, it used to be, the ceiling height was here at 8 feet. And it was just a ranch low ceiling. And he figured out how to create angles to give us a little bit of lift. That always helps when you have a small space for the ceilings to be a little bit higher. I love that he was able to do that and bring the cabinets up so that we have storage. And then we finished it with these tile that are like open face marble. And I do love the way that they give that crunchiness and they make it feel cozy. And we have it on this side as well, next to the sink. As you can see, art is everywhere, but I do love this little sweet little European landscape that's on this special blue paper. It's probably late 18th century, and it's something that I found on my travels, but I presented it in a way with a chunkier frame so that it has presence in the kitchen, and I just put it right on top of the backsplash, and it just makes me happy. Just looking at all these little pops make me happy. Here's another one that is an artist that is from Northern Europe, and one of my dealers that I've been working with for 30 years had it in his personal collection, and when I saw it, I just loved it so much. And he said, I'm going to sell it to you if you keep it in your home. And that's how I got this piece that I look at and enjoy every day. Okay, so I'd like to move right on into the den. Making a transition down the stairs into the den. And this is an area that we love. It's an area that we've newly renovated, and it's configured differently now, where the door to a tiny little powder room used to be here, and there used to be an island here and cabinets here. And it was a little bit awkward. We just wanted to open it up to where it was really usable. But where it started was with this piece of Mystique. It's quartzite, not marble, quartzite. But I fell in love with this stick image. And then when I'm looking at it, I can see all over. I can see how they look like branches. So it just reminds me of a tree that has these dangling branches, and there's so much about that appeals to me. I love the color, and the whole room was pretty much based on this quartzite. And the cabinets are a little bit darker. It creates a moodier effect in the room. And we chose to make it as much about the quartzite as possible, and that's why we installed the open shelves. And all of these glasses are also special. This is an artist that we represent, James Vella, and he hand blows each one of these, and they're all a little bit unique. It's really fun to have a party because people can pick their own glass and then they hold on to it because each one of them is a little bit different in its shape and in its pattern. It's easy to keep up with which glass is yours sometimes. And then I love to call attention to the sculpture, this white sculpture. I've been collecting this white sculpture for years and years and really had it tucked away in different places. And then finally I have a shelf that I can put everything out on. This right here is an artist out of New York, Lindsay Fuhrer. Again, it's kind of an imaginary organic pieces that you may see on the land or in the sea, or a combination. This again is my dear friend Winifred Ross Riley, who has made this, and this is one of her earlier pieces out of paper mache. This artist is Angela Gregory. She was a really important artist working in Louisiana. She actually studied in France with Bourdelle, who was an apprentice to Rodin. This was her teaching sculpture, and it really means a lot to me. I love it. I think it's so beautiful. This is an artist in New Orleans, Cynthia Giacometti. And again, the way that she's treating these flowers that are just kind of flowing on to one another, it just makes me happy. And I can see this from a distance. I can see it from the next level. It kind of beckons us in to this area. So let me show you the rest of the den. This is a husband and wife collaboration, Robin Cole and Anthony Henderson. And they are an amazing team. There's a lot of trust that goes into creating something together with a partner. And he says that she's taking care of all of the painting concerns and the color concerns, and then he's coming back with the tighter drafting. And they're both looking at the lunar universe, the bigger universe. And they're big mathematicians, and they're always looking at the sky. We send each other pictures of the moon. So this is really special to me, but if you really look at it too, you'll see that the graphite that he's laying on these paper pieces that she has applied and gessoed and sanded, it's amazing, the mark making. He's super meticulous. And then she is building the foundation that has more looseness in this painting. It makes me happy. When we scan, this is a funny thing, but the first thing I want to just mention is that, again, my girlfriend Winifred, who is so influential in my life, we travel together, we create artwork together, me not good, her exceptional. This is something that is a part of her process, and it's on loan, these are not for sale, but basically she comes back from wherever she is that she's inspired to create, and then she works through her ideas where she's building something. So this is like her foundational building kit. She goes to these little houses and then she creates them. She's thinking about the Yves Klein blue, how she applies it. Is it waxier? She looks at textures and at just different kind of dimensional qualities before she makes the next step for her artwork. So I love that. And then segueing into me, the sculptor, in her studio, here's my little dodo bird that I've created. It is something that is funny and it makes me laugh because one of the things that she said to me is the difference between an artist and a hobbyist is that an artist finishes. So here, take it to the next step, because he was left unfinished for a while. But this was really a lot of fun. This was done with painting sticks to support the tail and with a wire base, and then paper pulp to create some of the other finer details. And he's my crazy little dodo bird. I do love him. Again, when we come into this room, I love the darkness of the Chinese Art Deco rug. I was with my girlfriend Rebecca, who makes the pillows, and we found this rug, and I think that it lies really well, especially on the floor, the slate floor. But here's another example of the color shift for the pillows. I mean, these colors are great with what is in the background, and they just provide another layer. And when we shift them around, you see that it changes when you shift the colors around. So just things that I love in my den. And if we look at this section right here of the den, I just wanted to bring attention to something that is a light that was done by an artist that I work with, Brad Burgone. It looks very kind of ethereal, and it looks like it's part of a Lost Wax series, but it is actually a harder surface. I did put a light in it that's LED, and it stays on all the time. So it's just for ambiance. This right here is this painting that, again, is representative of kind of our Louisiana landscape, and our marsh is done by someone that is dear to me, Lisa DiStefano. And she's a local person. And then all of what we're looking at on the bookshelves are just more collectible pieces, something that I bought in London, and just different little finds from an Asheville thrift shop or from different places, all of the places where hunting takes us. So the books are kind of crazy. My daughter is an organizer, and she wanted to organize the books by color. For me, it's normally very wacky, where I like to organize the books by subject, so somehow it's a little bit more difficult to siphon through to figure out what you want to look at or what you want to read, because we're color-coded rather than coded by artists. This is a hand-carved wood piece. Most of the time I know where I purchased it. I probably purchased it from a dealer, but I knew that it was really special, and I didn't know what to put in it, so it lived in this form for a while until I found an older figurative piece by Lisa DiStefano, and I just loved the two of them together. If you really look at it, it's not even placed. It's just tacked. So it's just something for my enjoyment. This piece right here comes from India, and it was originally used as an identification for a door, and I love everything about it. I love that they made the base already, and it just seems like it rests well on the base. I love the patina, how many times it's been painted, and what's lasted over the years. So I love it. This is an old gear that I picked up from another friend's shop, and I just thought that it was an interesting shape, and that's what drew me to it. And then we put it all together so that, again, this house, it's memories. It's memories of what we've had in the past, and it's just fun thinking about what we're going to collect in the future. So as you see, this is sunken, so it creates another space with the level. But what we did, or what my husband did, because I wasn't really involved in this part of the reconstruction of this house, but what he did was he just kept whatever had integrity. And this room feels a little bit different. The ceilings were a little bit higher, and they have this old paneling that we just chose to keep. And then we built the bookcases around it. We kept the original slate floor, and we wanted to create a moodier vibe in this room, and that's where we landed on this color. I believe that it's a Sherwin-Williams color, Indian River. And everything about it, with the lights that can be dimmed or that can be made brighter. This paint color right here is a darker version. We might not be able to see. I think that it flows really, really well, and it especially looks like it's a natural part of this quartzite that I love so much. Okay, so right out of the bar, we have access to our back area and our backyard. I'd love to take you this way. This is a beautiful time of the year, temperature-wise, but a lot of the foliage is dying, so it's not the prettiest time for plantings. We're kind of in transition, but we use this area so much. We're outside a lot here. So what really attracted me to the house was this little kidney-shaped pool. And we just recently did a renovation for it and decided to keep, it was such an extensive renovation that we could have just redone the entire pool, changed the shape. But then again, it was one of those memories where I thought, our own little Slim Aarons moment where there's this kidney-shaped pool. It's really fun living, entertaining, and we chose to keep the exact same shape. We just changed the color a little bit from an aqua blue to more of a greenish blue for the watercolor. Okay, let me show you the rest of the house. We'll walk toward the primary bedroom. So when you look around, a lot of people think you're just overflowing and stuffed with artwork. But the truth is, my husband never says, don't buy any more art or don't collect any more art, because he knows that for me, it's like breathing. And what's so great about it is that our kids are the same way. Both my daughter and my son love artwork, and they come and they have a lot of artwork from the gallery in their homes that they've purchased, but they've also, mother has gifted a lot of artwork to them. So everybody's environment is art rich, because that's a part of who we are. I mix a lot of styles in this room, and it's just really natural. I'm looking at scale, and I may not be getting the scale right, but again, these are just things that mean a lot to me. This, again, is Winifred Riley's, my very dear friend, and this is when she was doing lamps at the same time that she was doing the chandelier that's in the dining room. And Rebecca is always a part of my life. We've traveled together for 30 years, so I always have something from her, and things that I keep close to my heart. Then I'll find this great, I think this was like a Jacqueline or Larson wood velvet fabric that I saw at a market, and I loved it. So I've changed, actually we changed the size of the bed, and because of that we changed the pillows. But again, this lamp here, that is something that was at one time a part of a tabernacle, the silver leaf piece, we converted it into a lamp. So there again, that's mixing the old with the new. And then my husband's sculpture there of the couple, that is, it's so dear, and he built a little block for us to have an object on the wall. And this bonetier right here, that is just really a part of my storage, where I keep a lot of gift items. So it's things that have landed here that make sense to me. They might not be a great design solution, but I love also diminutive furniture. I know that probably I should sit a little bit. When I sit in this chair, I'm sitting so low, but a lot of times I'll come back at the end of the day and I just for 5 minutes want to sit in this low chair and regroup for a minute. And I love these chairs. These also were picked up out of a Paris flea market, things that I've been doing for a long time. Next, I'd like to show you our guest room, so follow me. Okay, so here is the guest room, where we love to host people in our home. A lot of times it's family, friends, artists that are traveling, and I just want to make a cozy room. You've seen that maybe it could be our master bedroom, except for maybe the artwork is not as personal to me and Paul, but it's personal to me at having connections with all of the artists. And I always seem to have a rug that is old, because I consider rugs as artwork. I mean, all the patterning is so special. These are all hand-dyed wool. So I always have kind of a smattering of rugs. But again, does the furniture make sense? They're from all different time periods, but it's just put together, and I think it's a really warm room. If you would ask me if yellow is my favorite color, I would say no, yellow is not my favorite color. But when I look in this room, I realize that I love yellow, because these are some of my favorite pieces. This is an artist that we represent, Robert Rector, and just that sophisticated kind of color blocking and palette that just makes me feel restful. This piece right here is an artist that I have a very long relationship with. Her name is Meredith Pardue. She lives in Austin now. These are just, again, nature-based abstractions. She does things that look very different now, but nonetheless, she's a great abstract, nature-based artist. This right here is really special to me. A dealer that I have had a relationship with from France for many years painted this for me, and I'd like to keep it really close to view. Again, you'll see that I love collage, and these works on paper come from Cecil Touchon, and I have another piece in the living room, a larger piece, but this is his collage work, and he's a very thoughtful, incredible artist that is someone that I love to visit with. He's always giving me great information and giving me lots to look at and be inspired by. On one of my earlier buying trips with friends who are antique dealers, I got to glom on to their container, and that's how I got a lot of furniture early on. And this piece is a cornice. It would have originally been on the ceiling, and it was probably cut into it probably had 3 components or possibly a 4th component on the back. But this is all, it's all hand carved wood. So we know that it's older because it's hand carved rather than being machined or using gessos and techniques that they use later. So it's also original paint, which makes it special. And then I think that this dark pattern here is a Ralph Lauren velvet that I love. So when hosting, I've learned from my friends that people love comfortable pillows. And it just, so I'm always trying to, if they have an allergy to down, and if not, I'll mix the bed with down pillows and then also pillows that are synthetic so that there's always a comfortable place to lay your head. Also, it's always welcoming to come in and see a little bouquet of flowers. It just makes, it just shows love that we've made an effort. So we always have water with a carafe, we always have flowers, and then hopefully it's a restful place that someone can come and have as their home for however long they're staying.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.